Yeah, this is the chapter where Davos does his own Castaway thing. You know, Castaway, the movie with Tom Hanks. He's a FedEx employee. A movie that was probably sponsored by FedEx because the term, the brand name was mentioned suspiciously high, large number of times throughout the movie, and it was actually saved by FedEx packages that somehow washed ashore. But he was there, stranded on an island somewhere. That's Tom Hanks in a movie that came out more or less at the same time as as A Storm of Swords was published. So Area 1 was the Blair Witch Project. And now this is Davos 1, Castaway. Both movies more or less came out shortly before or shortly after this book was published. So, coincidence? Sometimes these things happen. And it's, as far as the timeline is concerned, this is unmistakably taking place after the Blackwater battle. So in this case, we can disregard George Martin's preface, where he tells us some of the initial chapters of this book overlap chronologically. The Blackwater battle, not in this case. I mean, this is unmistakably after. As for how many days after, we're not too sure, because we depend. That would depend on how many days a man can survive on a rock, because that's exactly where Davos is at the moment. And even the protagonist's own sense of time is it's kind of like an unreliable narrator trope, because we don't know. He himself says, "How long have I been here? 3 days, 4 days? Don't know. I've lost sense of time." Even though he's outdoors. He's outdoors in a nice, in a nice setting on an island, lying on a beach with a cocktail in his hand. Yeah, no, not quite actually. No, but let's cast this image away. Yeah, cast away. See what I did there. He's not having a good time, is what I'm saying. But he's nonetheless, he's outdoors. And so the sun rises, sets, rises again, sets again. Okay, so he's been there maybe 3 days, maybe 4 days. That would depend on how long a man can survive without fresh water, because he doesn't have access to that. It's not exactly an island. It's just a rock with a cave, small rock with a cave. With no water other than seawater, which you shouldn't drink. So how long can he survive without dying of dehydration? Not to mention, starvation. So there he is. This is a short chapter, but an important one, because it reboots the character Davos, who is going to be an important cog in the machine. A cog also being a type of ship. God, I'm on fire right now. We'll get to the being on fire bit in a minute as well. Is going to become an important cog in the machine that is the whole saga of Ice and Fire, and a valuable source of exposition for us readers. I mean, it was in a way an important, kind of like a source of exposition prior to this chapter, because basically he existed because we needed eyes on Davos, on Stannis, hence his POV chapters. But he witnessed several important things, developments that took place on Dragonstone and whatnot. Storm's End, etc. But from now on, he's going to take this transition from witness to player. He's going to take decisions. He's going to go around, meet people, go places. So this is his reboot in many ways. More than one, we will see. Remind me later about the fingertips, the chopped off fingertips. Those will also play an important part. So yeah, there he is. He's doing. He's reminiscing and remembering what happened in the Blackwater Bay, in the Blackwater battle, because that's important in terms of, well, setting having a clear kind of like overview of what happened. Right after we left him in the middle of a battle where first-time readers thought that he was dead, drowned, possibly burned alive, because the Stannis' fleet had been attacked with none other than wildfire, and one doesn't tend to survive that. And suddenly, oh, there he is. Well, first thing we want to know is, how did he make it? And what's going to happen now? So there he is. He's on a rock. He's on a rock, and he's considering. It's just him. This is a one character piece. So we're left alone with his thoughts. And I wonder, is there a name for this particular genre of literature? One character piece, a la The Old Man and the Sea, that sort of thing. Is there? It's him and his thoughts, and we will have a mixture of backward exposition of flashback and future plans. So this is what's happened so far. Where do we go now? Right now, nowhere, because he doesn't have the strength to swim anywhere. And if he did swim, he would probably end up on the docks of King's Landing, which would almost certainly spell trouble for him, even though he's native of that particular area of King's Landing. Didn't he call himself Sir Davos of Fleabottom? Nonetheless, he was on the opposing side. He was on the antagonist, on the enemy side. So, and besides, he doesn't have he doesn't even have the strength to swim to the nearest island, as we will see later. He's even tempted to take the first swallow of seawater, which you should never do, because it doesn't quench your thirst. Even though later in the saga we will encounter a certain character in A Feast for Crows that does just that. Every now and then, whenever he thinks he needs to think more clearly, he just takes a swallow of the old seawater. Not a good idea, but that's just some religious nutcaseness. Is there such a word? Anyway, so how did he survive, and how did he end up on this rock, which we assume is outside of the, where the battle took place, the actual river. We assume, in fact, it says it right here. It's the immensity of. I lost it. But later on, it was saying that it was in the immensity of Blackwater Bay. It's a huge area, and. Here we go. There's a description right here. His island was no more than a barren spire jutting up out of the immensity. I didn't lose it after all. Of Blackwater Bay. And a little description. It's got a cave. I mean, he calls it a cave, but it's really no more than a hollow in the rock beneath an overhang. So this is there. This is the setting. Nothing grew on the rock, but seabirds shunned the place. Even seabirds. There you go. And One thing that he's considering right now is, okay, well, everything is lost. The battle is lost. Oh, and should I also mention, 3 of my sons are gone. 3, right? Yeah. And everything I lived for, building a better future for them, everything that I worked for is gone. Do I really want to go on living, or should I just, kick the bucket? Because all I have to do, if that's what I want to do, all I have to do is just nothing. Just do nothing, and I will certainly die of starvation and dehydration. Look, I don't even have. He thinks to himself, look, I don't even have the strength to swim to the other rock. He looks around. I mean, he's had plenty of time to look around, and he says, well, there were other rocks visible from his refuge. And like there's that one over there, for example, that which is known as. I mean, they probably don't even have names. These are described as specks on the map. And but it's so much better, more spacious, better parking facilities. It's facing south, and the seagulls are fatter, easier to capture if one wanted to feast on such a delicacy. But he didn't. He knew he did not even, because the grass is always greener on the other rock, isn't it? But he realized he didn't even have the strength for such a swim. That would kill him as sure as drinking seawater. So all he has to do is just stay there. But I forgot to mention one important part that Martin keeps bringing up again and again, like a refrain in a song. But there was a sail. And where there's a sail, there's a ship. He watched the sail grow for a long time, trying to decide whether he would sooner live or die. Yes, I suppose I should have started this commentary with that sentence. There is a ship growing larger, as in, getting nearer and nearer. But in the meantime, while in between all these descriptions of the sail, which keeps getting closer and closer, he reminisces, Davos does, because who else is there, on various things that happened to him, like things that he tried to do. Like once in desperation, he tried rubbing 2 pieces of driftwood against each other, like trying to make fire with damp wood. Good luck with that. Even dry wood. I don't know if have you ever had any such training? You Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, you dear reader. I once tried, not as a Boy Scout. I was never a Boy Scout, but how it is: childhood, countryside, running around, climbing trees. And so on and so forth. And as a kid with my mates, I did try. I even had what do you call that firestone thing, the pink rock that was abundant in that area. No way. Well, I did see sparks, but that was it. I mean, I thought to myself, how the hell did they do this in ancient times? There's no way. Maybe I didn't have the patience. Kids seldom do. And anyway, so he's thinking, that's what happened to me. Yeah, well, that's just my luck, I suppose. Luck. Keep that word in mind, because it will come. It will crop up again with reference to his chopped off fingertips, with less fingernails to clean. At which point, Stannis corrected him in the TV series and said, fewer fingernails to clean. Do you know? this part wasn't even in the books, and I guess the HBO series wanted Stannis to come across as this like really pissy, stickler to the rules kind of guy. I didn't know how to, how do we show and tell? How do we show, not tell, that Stannis is that kind of a character? Oh, I have an idea. Why don't we make him a grammar Nazi? So at some point when we're introduced to these two characters, Davos says, "Well, I mean, you did chop off my fingertips, four of them anyway, not the thumb, as far as I remember, as a punishment for being a smuggler all my life. So that's yeah, okay. Well, you had to do that because you really follow the rules to the letter. More on that as well. But hey, at least you gave me a knighthood for rescuing you. This was back in the in the days of Baratheon rebellion, and the siege on Storm's End. That's it, Storm's End, and he, as a good smuggler, saved Stannis's was it company, platoon, probably a company. It was that size, with a ship filled with onions and everybody keeps mentioning the onions, but not the salt fish, which is really the more important, the dried fish, the more important source of proteins that kept Stannis's men and Stannis himself alive after they were down to eating their horses, dogs, cats, canaries, parrots, I don't know, eventually rats. And when they couldn't find any more rats, they thought, okay, well, what if we try and eat the leather of our boots? Whose idea was that anyway? I mean, I realized, so boiled leather, if you reboil it, boiled but then cooked as well, it makes for a tasty, I don't know, leather. Yeah, well, it is okay. Animal proteins. I don't think I'm eager to try, not even as an experiment. So anyway, here I go saying that again. So anyway, I tend to say that a lot. And so gone is his luck, and gone is his will to live, or partially anyway, because inside every human being there lies the spirit that forces us to want to stay alive. But one of the things that he considers is to simply just maybe dive in the water and let the water of Blackwater Bay do the rest. Just drown me. The gods beneath the waters had been waiting for me, he told himself. It's past time I went to them. See, like a drowned. Is he thinking of drowned gods? Which is probably not. But yeah, here's another parallel with that certain character from A Feast for Crows. I won't say a word because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I make it a principle of only, as far as spoilers are concerned, only look back. Don't look forward. Don't anticipate anything. In the off chance that you, my gentle listener, might be a first-time reader. Do you know what? I have a confession to make. I knew Davos didn't die at the Blackwater battle. But didn't burn alive, with enveloped in wildfire, and he didn't drown. None of that happened to him. I knew it because, here's the confession, I came to this series of books from the HBO series, which I'd watched probably even twice, from season 1 to season 8, and all the while hearing friends around me saying, "Oh well, it's not as good as the books," and then by season 7 and 8, their complaints had been impossible to ignore, because they were just saying, "Oh no, no, there's no way this is going to be in the books." There's no way that this banal Hollywood kind of a resolution payoff is going to be there. No, 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 no. You should really read the books. Read the books. Read the books. Eventually, what did I do? I read the books, and I thought, yeah, impressive. Although the script for the TV series were equally impressive in the early seasons, because, well, later on I'll show you what painstaking work must have lied in as far as structuring each episode. It's mind-boggling. I'll show you. I'll show you. There's out there on the internet. There's a graphic that explains where every single bit of every single chapter from the existing published novels went to inform what episode, and it's a scatter plot. Is that what they call it? And it's incredible. Anyway, so there he is. So here I go again. But yes, the gods have been calling me. I could just drown, and no one would miss me, except that maybe if anyone ever found out, they would wouldn't it be nice if they named this rock after me? They would call it Onion Rock. Onion Rock, yes. And every year they would organize like a rock festival right there on the rock. That would be the stage, and the spectators, the public could just hang on the other rocks, on the other rocks nearby, and just watch the Onion Rock Fest. Yeah, but no, because no one will ever know that a certain Davos Seaworth was briefly there for a few days, and then he was no more. And he describes these spears of the Merlin King. That's what these rocks are called. A dozen less months stood 30 or 60 feet high. Huge. Oh, wow. Yeah. Mr. Martin does like his sheer size of things. All things, the walls to the walls that surround Storm's End's castle, the wall itself, 700 feet. I mean, he just does not. 60 feet high. Okay. Sailors call them the spears of Merlin King. There's quite a few of them, and for every ship that broke the surface, a dozen lurked treacherously just below it, meaning that almost no ship, made it past these rocks. Obviously, your way to the docks of King's Landing does not go through these rocks, one of which being the rock Davos is currently allocated. What's the word? Where Davos is currently waiting to die, basically. Except for this one ship, which is kind of like, do you know what? When I think of these spears of the Merlin King, I think of Skull Island. Not Skull Island, the one movie with the shared universe with Godzilla. And I'm thinking about the 2006 movie. Was it 2006? A movie that wouldn't be released for another 6 years, directed by Peter Jackson. I don't know if you remember when the ship, whatever the name is, I can't remember, tries to sort of negotiate its way through these treacherous and scary looking rocks that surround the south side of Skull Island, which on the map they actually constitute the sharpened teeth of the skull. Skull Island being named Skull Island because it's shaped like a skull. And watching that in the movie theater, that was really you really felt like you were there. I mean, a whole bunch of CGI, effects, but very well made. So there he is, in the middle of the teeth of a skull island, kind of a geographic location, and yet somehow a ship is coming towards him. A ship that really shouldn't, because this is a course that no ship ever takes. Which makes me think, makes me pause and think, were they actually coming for him? Did they deliberately want to rescue him? We'll get there in a minute. But yeah, here comes that really tragic part. Now, the flashback time. Davos remembers what happened. My sons are dead. Dale, Allard, Marek, Mathos, 4 sons, perhaps Devon as well. How can a father outlive so many strong sons, so many strong young sons? Earlier on I said 3. Oh my God. Dale, Allard, Marek, Mathos, and perhaps Devon. Now, mea culpa, I confess, I don't remember exactly where each of these sons happened to be placed, in what key position they happen to be placed. One of them is a kind of like a counselor, or what do you call it, like a squire to Stannis. But right now I can't think of it. Luckily and handily and conveniently, Davos lists their roles for us. Davos and Black Betha, between Dale's Wraith and Allard on Lady Maria. Marek, his third born, was Oarmaster on Fury. Okay, so they were all there, obviously, in the battle. Otherwise, how could he assume that they're dead? At the center of the first line, while Mathos served as his father's second on this Black Betha. Black Betha is a famous. It's a name that kept recurring throughout the Clash of Kings. Name of his ship, which is now gone. It is now at the bottom of the river. And this is how he remembers Wildfire, which is also described in the Clash of Kings as this monster. I don't remember exactly how many dozen feet high, but a lot, probably, dancing on the water. A green demon, a jade demon dancing on the water. Oh, here he goes. And that's his version, that's how he remembers it. Some vast beast had let out a roar. God, it must be pretty scary to be around. And green flames were all around them. Wildfire. Pyromancer's piss. The jade demon. There you go. Mathos had been standing at his elbow on the deck of Black Betha when the ship seemed to lift from the water. Imagine that. And before you know it, there he was, in the river, flailing as the current took him and spun him around and around. Oh, here you go, 50 feet high. Well, I've heard readers, fans, commentators saying, well, no, but in another chapter it was described as a different height. Look, it dances around, I guess that there was a lowest point and a highest point. I don't see that as a discrepancy. It wasn't stable, like, monolithic, like an iceberg. It danced around. So, we humans are also different heights, depending on whether, you measure us from the top of our heads, from our shoulders, So anyway, the Black Betha, afire, ablaze, and Fury, and Wraith, and Lady Maria, all of them, gone, all gone. And this is where he thinks, okay, well, I got to get out of here. I have to, it's his instinct. Its instinct is to survive, nonetheless, even though he doesn't know. I mean, he can't even see where his sons are at. But the first instinct is for him to save his own skin, and. But he remembers how that even that effort proved to be tricky because the Lannisters had raised a great iron chain from bank to bank. So the sight of it seemed to stop his heart for a moment. And so, what to do? Do I swim under it and then come back to the surface out there in the Blackwater Bay? This is all in a flashback. And even then, he remembers thinking to himself, all he needed to do was nothing, and he would simply die. I guess. A few moments more, and he would be with his sons now. Okay, I guess that at that time he already took it for granted that his sons were gone. So, and he was thinking back then, a few moments more, and he would be with his sons now, drowned, resting in the cool green mud on the bottom of the bay. What a thought! With fish nibbling at his face. Oh yeah, I was going to skip that one. No, let's linger on all these loving descriptions. Instead, he sucked in a great gulp of air and dove, kicking for the bottom of the river. Now, this is, oh my God, if you suffer from, I don't know, like claustrophobia, or, you had that panicky feeling of suffocation when you're underwater, when you duck your head underwater. Yeah, this, like me, after a while, I guess everyone does, unless you have, an oxygen reserve. This is where you really go, because this is where you can really feel it, because he swims underneath the chain, which made me readjust my visual image of the chain, because I don't know about you, but I pictured it at least like a few meters or feet above the water level. But the way it's described here is basically just literally on the water. It's been raised from these winch towers, but not all the way, because if these are winch towers clearly way above the sea level, then you would imagine if they raised it all the way as much as they can, then it would be straight and over the water. But in this case, he remembers that he had to. I guess they just raised it just enough. It would still block ships from fleeing the area, the river, out into the bay. But for someone to swim under it, you got to remember this is an immense, a huge iron chain, links as big as a human's arm, and so he had to swim underneath the chain, and he could do it. He thinks to himself, yes, I can do it. Then God knows where I'm going to end up, because there's the risk that once is on the other side, he might just bump into a wreckage of a ship, and then he would drown, because he wouldn't know, okay, where do I go now? All above it could be just there's the hull of a ship, so that could spell trouble for him. But he thought, yeah, well, at least I can at least try, because, and this is key, because he had always been a strong swimmer, and he'd worn no steel that day, which is nice. Compare this with those high-born people who look down on Davos, Florence and company, showing off their expensive and heavy armor on that day. Where are they now? At the bottom of the river, because we have learned that those armors are bloody hard to get off when you're in the water, when you're drowning. So the sheer weight of them brought them all down to the bed of the river. That's what happened. So, but he was smart. That's why he wore no armor. You should not wear armor on in ship sort of warfare. And so anyway, so he managed that, except that at some point he doesn't even know. He didn't even know where what was up and what was down. Panic took him. His hands flailed against the bottom of the river and sent up a cloud of mud that blinded him. If he needed that further, the further advantage, handicap rather. His chest was growing tighter. He clawed at the water, kicking, opening his mouth to scream. The water came rushing in, and he didn't know which way he was supposed to try and swim, because he no longer knew what way was up, what way was down. Dear listener, I don't know about you, but I was gasping for air when I read this passage. But eventually he made it. He made it, and amidst prayers to to the mother, to the father, to the warrior, everyone he knew, and all the deities that he knew. And once again, he considers, now that he knows, now that he remembers, now that he is done reminiscing how we got there, well, his thoughts inevitably go back to, okay, so now I'm here, what do I want to do? Once again, he considers letting himself die. Because, seriously, what do you do when everything you lived for is gone? Hide, smuggler, hide, and be quiet and die. But the sail was almost on him. I mean, this sail, this ship is clearly sailing toward him. Is it because they spotted him? He thinks not. He thinks, no, they didn't see me. Nonetheless, they are still, sailing where ships usually do not sail because it's too dangerous. And yet, they're coming towards me. But if I do nothing, they won't see me, and they'll just sail past me. If I want to be rescued, then yes, I'll have to wave, hello, and hopefully they'll see me, and they'll send out a boat to pick me up, because the ship couldn't get much closer to the what do they call them? The spears of the Merlin King. But yeah, these are my two options. Do I ignore them? Do I hide from them and die, or do I do my best to try to be picked up? And this is when I told you we were going to mention his luck, and here it is. Yes, because remember those fingertips I told you, which Stannis chopped off way back? My luck. Oh God, it's gone. Yeah, because he carried them around in a leather pouch around his neck. Sorry, as you do. Yep, yeah, okay. It's like a souvenir, like a memento. He said to the world. Okay, the truth is, the two things to say about these fingertips he used to carry around wherever he went. In his mind, these bits were kind of like his own luck. Yeah, I bring them around, he said. I carry them around my neck for good luck. They're supposed to bring me good luck. But that's what he said to himself, which, on the one hand, it means that from now on he's going to have to make his own luck. This is key. Hence the transition between from mere witness to things to player in the larger game. That's what he said to himself. These are for good luck. What he said to the rest of the world, and particularly Stannis, but I imagine anyone else would care to ask, was that the act of carrying his lost fingertips around his neck was a memento, was like a kind of a way to remind himself of merciless, implacable, inflexible justice that he wanted to. The lesson that Stannis wanted to impart on him was, with on him, literally on his person, on him the whole time. It's a reminder that Stannis, the person I serve, my own God, at some point he said, I lost my faith in gods, but right now I decided that Stannis is my own God, and his will I will carry, I will see through to the end. And therefore, I need this as a reminder of his inflexible, implacable justice that doesn't play favorites. Or does it? Because let me say this, I don't, you know what? I didn't write down from which chapter I took this quote, but I'm pretty sure it's a Davos from A Clash of Kings, where Stannis himself says to Davos, I have a tale of traitors. Your nose does not deceive you. My lord's bannermen are inconstant even in their treasons. I need them, but you should know how it sickens me to pardon such as these when I have punished better men for lesser crimes. You have every right to reproach me, Sir Davos. This Stannis says to Davos, and he would never ever admit to anyone else on the planet that, yes, my kind of justice isn't as flawless as I'd like to be. Right now I need all these traitors who were following Renly just a few days ago, and now they all swear their allegiance to me. Yeah, I tell you what, I'm not about chopping anyone's fingers off on that account, on betraying me in the first place. I'm not going to give them the Davos treatment, as in, you want to serve me, good, but first there's a price to pay for all the harm that you wanted to inflict on me. Hold out your hand, chop, chop, chop. No, he didn't do that. So, yeah, even that kind of just... Okay, well, I made my point. Better move on. Nonetheless, he never... Come on, he's not fooling anybody. He never really looked at his pouch for fingertips. Is that how he bought it? Like, the shopkeeper, did he keep them on a shelf with a label saying... buy here your leather pouches for your missing fingertips. He never looked at them as like a reminder of Stannis's ruthless justice. No way. No. He kept them for good luck. Every time he felt he needed a push from luck, a push in the right direction, he touched his leather pouch, which he does right now, and this is going to become one of his traits. Every now and then he just touches his neck and, oh God, yes, oh that's right, they're gone, they're no longer there. He touched it and realized that they were gone, which is another kind of reboot. Earlier on we saw Jaime rebooted. He was given a makeover. His head had been shaved, and he dunked his head in the water, kind of like a baptism, a christening type of thing, and that's when the character was rebooted. In this case, Davos loses his luck, quote unquote, and from now on he'll have to make his own. Now, and this is the passage where he thinks to himself, by the way, he remembers, again, this is all related to the fire, wildfire, and since we're on the topic of fire, what about those ancient wooden statues of the seven gods that Melisandre burned on Dragonstone when they took over Dragonstone when Melisandre arrived, I think this is in Clash of Kings, not exactly right at the beginning, not in the prologue, somewhere in there's a later chapter on Dragonstone. Whereas in the HBO series, this was the first episode focused on that, on introducing these characters, showing us the ancient wooden statues of the seven gods, presumably dating back, almost certainly dating back from the age of Aegon the Conqueror, burned. Not only those burned as an offering to the the fire god Hollor, the fire god, the god of light, whatever, whatever the one of many names that of the god, worshipped by the Red Lady Melisandre, and as an offering, and also because they are false gods. Notice this. This is an interesting religion that does not tolerate competition, whereas the other two kind of religions always coexisted, as in the old gods of nature and the north, and the first man, was it the with the faces on the trees and the gods' woods, kind of looking at this new institutionalized religion of the seven with a smug kind of a grin, going, yeah, right. If they want to, if humans want to make up their own gods, let them. Coming up with names that are linked to their professions and qualities as humans. The smith and the father and the mother god. Yeah, those are just a symbolic god. And on the other hand, the septons, in turns, kind of tolerating the old religion and sort of conceding that yes, that in certain geographical areas that religion has actually got more power than our religion, has more jurisdiction. So there was a kind of like a symbiotic coexistence of these two religions, which is what you hear a lot in the HBO series, that the old gods and the new, the old and the new. Not so for the god of light, which does not tolerate competition. It's a completely different type of cult. And how does Davos remember this act, this blasphemous act of burning the gods? Not to mention the god's wood as well. There was a god's wood as well. He is reminded of it by some mysterious voices, which initially he attributes to the mother, one of the seven. He hears it. He heard her answer. "You call the fire," she whispered, her voice as faint as the sound of waves in a seashell, sad and soft. "You burned us. You burned us." At first time I read this, I thought they were talking about, he was hearing his son's voices through the mother. But no, the mother here, or at least what he imagines to be the mother, capital M, is in fact reminding him of the time when those wooden statues, which, by the way, should be kind of like a cultural heritage. There have been parallels. There have been parallels of religious nutters burning or destroying bits, very important, valuable bits of cultural heritage that just on the under the pretext that they had been built to worship false gods. Remember that episode in Afghanistan and those over 20 years ago, 25 years ago, something like that, with the I forgot what it was. Statues of some kind of Buddhist. I don't want to lie to you. I'll have to look it up. Anyway, yes, you burned us. And he's thinking, no. He tries to justify himself. No, it was her. It was the Melisandre, the Red Woman, the Red Lady, she's a true villain in here. She always is, isn't it? And I mean, she does share a bit of the responsibility, but Melisandre, it was Melisandre. And then he thought to himself, no, 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 no. Who am I kidding? It was her. It wasn't. Yeah, it was her work, but you, Stavros, you did nothing. This sentence is repeated twice, like a refrain in a song. This is you stood and you did nothing. So don't be all coy and stuff, because you share your responsibility too. You just stood by, even when she killed old Maester Crescent. This was in the prologue of the Clash of Kings. You stood by, you did nothing. Didn't want to, rock the boat. And speaking of boats, he decides. Now we're given, here we go. I mean, I wouldn't be calling, it wouldn't be right to call this a proper cliffhanger, even though really Davos is literally hanging on a cliff. Nonetheless, it's one of those like kind of resolutions that George R. Martin ends his chapter on. Like, now he knew what he had to do. Now he knew. Now she decided. She knew where she had to go. It's that kind of like a resolution that we are not told, because we will only find out in the next chapter dedicated to the same POV character. And that's the same with Davos. He says now he knew he needed to live, he needed to survive for a little while more at least, because there was something he had to do. Then that's where he decides, okay, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start waving my arms. I want this ship to notice me, and everything will be dandy. Hey, ship, here. And this is interesting because, as I said, I mean, at first he doesn't know what ship it is. Let's not forget that we're still in the middle of a war. I mean, this is the aftermath of a major battle. The main and the main force of the enemy of this, as far as this geographical area is concerned, Blackwater Bay, is gone. Is out there. Is heading back to Dragonstone to lick his wounds, and therefore, if there's a ship there, could it be a mercantile ship that's taking different routes now? Routes. I think I want to say routes. Now, because of the chain, and you can no longer access the docks at the moment. The docks are closed for business. It better hope, Davos had better hope, that it's a neutral ship, that it didn't have a dog in this race, a stake in the battle, because statistically it may well be a ship manned by a crew loyal to King Joffrey, in which case it would be in trouble. Statistically, what are the odds that this could actually be a crew loyal to Stannis? By now, Stannis would be a million miles away. But nonetheless, and he sees the ship, and we are left there hanging on a thread, because guess what? He can't even read, so he doesn't know. He can't recognize the name painted on the hull. But he's decided, okay, well, I'll attract their attention and let the chips fall where they may. So finally, they notice, they spot him. Oh, look, there's a dude. Let's go pick him up. And so they sent out a boat, 4 rowers. I seem to remember, even though I can't actually see it on the page right now. Okay, here we go. Short while, the galley's sail came down, There are also submarine vehicles too big to approach the rock. 30 yards away, they launched a small boat. 4 people rowing on the oars, and a fifth one calling out. "You!" the fifth man called out. "You up on the rock, who are you?" And he's thinking, aha, yeah, that's right. This could cost me my life if I say the wrong words, whatever words that they don't want to hear. Well, in the end, he decides that honesty is the best policy, so he goes, I was in the battle. What else could he say? I was in the battle. I was a captain, a knight. I was a knight. Yeah, aye, sir. Yeah, we figured as much. But serving which king? The galley might be Joffrey's, he realized suddenly. If he spoke the wrong name now, she would abandon him to his fate. The galley. That's the ship. But then, I think this is where isn't it here? Where he looks at the hull, and yeah, okay, he might not be able to read the name, but he realizes that the hull has been painted in stripes, and that somehow helps him figure out that the ship is Lyseni from Lys there, and he goes Lysine. That's it. She was Salvador Sands. Ah, yes. But this, sorry, kind of like put the cart before the horses. First he answers to the question, serving which king? And he goes, look, I serve King Stannis. But no, he does say that after he realizes that the ship is Salvador Sands, his pirate friend, and as we will see, his only real friend. Even though, everything being black, not black, not white, but different shades of grey in these books, there will also be evidence to the contrary, evidence or circumstantial evidence that Salvador Sands may not be such a great friend after all. Even though they go way back, we will learn. But he goes, yeah, I served King Stannis. And the leader, the fifth man on the boat, says, Stannis, good for you. You served King Stannis. So do we. And this is how the chapter ends. We don't know, but we figure that that Davos is finally gets, it's picked up, and we'll end up on board of that ship, on the galley. Short but significant chapter. I don't have any other comments here to make. There's a lot of foreshadowing here. The luck, the fingers, the various ins and outs that I don't want to. I don't want to spoil anything here. I told you, I will only be looking back, not forward. But I would like to do both. Thank you for following me all the way here. You're a very, very patient listener. I'm guessing you're just as into these books as I am, because I am obsessed now with this rereading. It's just too much. I can't wait to do the next one with you. But for now, which is the next one, which is, by the way, is it Bran? Is it Daenerys? Is it Jon? It's Sansa. Oh, Sansa. Wow, looking forward to that. Our eyes on King's Landing. Don't you just want to find out? I'll just leave you with a thought of the day, which is completely unrelated to either this book or fantasy in general. And here it is. It just occurred to me the other day. Joe Swanson does say the darnest things, granted, but Glenn Quagmire gives him way too much shit over it, considering that he is a douche himself. Yeah, there. As you see, I never shy away from stating the obvious. Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure, as always. See you around.